Dr. Melissa Carroll from George Washington University. Welcome to the Anatomy and Clay Learning System podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you on. Eager to find out more about the effort that I came across recently online, which had to do with promoting the Black Anatomy Week that's coming up,
Yeah.
October 16th through the 21st. And want to find out more about the whole organization itself, Black Anatomy. But before we get to that, if we could just ask you for a little bit of sort of self-introduction, give us a little idea of your background in science.
Sure, absolutely. So I was born and raised in the Bahamas. Both of my parents were medical doctors, and I had an opportunity to just be around science basically my whole life. I also played a lot of sports. So I originally thought I wanted to be a sports physician. So when I came over to the US, I was really interested still in exploring science, and I fell in love with anatomy while I was an undergrad. So I had an opportunity at Colorado State University to take a graduate level dissection course. And so I thought, how exciting would it be to continue this passion of dissection before I go to medical school? Well, I was accepted to get my master's at Penn State College of Medicine in anatomy. And during that process, we were required to teach in the medical school. And I really enjoyed that process. And so the teaching opportunity that was a part of my degree really then outshined my desire to go into a physician or healthcare field. I really just enjoyed that interaction with healthcare individuals and enjoyed the opportunity to explore science some more. So I stayed on, I got my PhD, and then I had the opportunity. I've been so blessed to teach in so many different healthcare professions and get to learn so much about the individual and unique needs for each healthcare profession. And so I think in that whole process in developing as a classically trained anatomist, but having the opportunity to explore not only anatomy, embryology, and neuroanatomy, I really just enjoyed learning from my colleagues and attending our professional societies and really looking around, and happened to notice that there weren't very many people that looked like me, even though I really enjoyed the intellectual stimulation. There is a time when you look around and you also want to see people that look like you.
Great. So before we get to the actual genesis of the organization, can you just set the scene for us right now at George Washington University? What are your areas of responsibility and what do you teach?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I was able to teach in a lot of different healthcare professions. So when coming to George Washington, I'd already taught for 10 years in another physical therapy department. So I was able to learn the anatomy necessary for physical therapists. And I was trained, as I said, at Penn State College of Medicine. So I was trained teaching medical students, nursing students, and graduate students. So transitioning from graduate school to then teaching in rehabilitation sciences, I then made a really large jump to return to teach in medical school, as well as, again, teaching graduate students. So here at George Washington University, I have the opportunity and the pleasure to teach. I'm technically the neuroanatomy lead that's here. So that's my primary responsibility, not only for the medical school and their preclinical curriculum, but also for our graduate students and also the upper level undergraduates that have interest in going into healthcare.
Wow. And sounds like a terrific university to be part of, and very
my colleagues are phenomenal.
Yeah. And high quality students too go on to do great things, I'm sure.
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
All right, so
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's such a pleasure coming back to a team taught environment and having colleagues that have been amazingly supportive and an opportunity to really learn not only from them, but also from more senior level colleagues that are here as well. It's such an interesting juxtaposition from going from training to being on my own for about 10 years in my professional development, and then coming back to a team taught environment. It's such a pleasure to have this new adventure in my professional development.
Yeah. Well, and just looking back from the Bahamas right on through to now, you must feel a great deal of pride of how far you've come.
Yeah, it is. I don't think that as professionals we ever really take much time to sit and reflect on, the growth that we've taken. We're so forward focused that we don't have an opportunity to sit and reflect. So it is, the process even of applying for this position and now being here and really enjoying what I do every day. Not to say that I didn't enjoy that in my other appointments, but it's a different feel of having colleagues that I can sit and talk to and work through, problems within my own field. It's just a really interesting, again, opportunity to see how much I've grown since I graduated.
Yeah. Terrific. Congratulations on everything. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's go back to the genesis of your organization, and
Yeah.
how long ago was that you decided to turn an observation about not recognizing as many folks like yourself in the profession? When was it that you decided to turn an observation into doing something about it?
Yeah, so I think that anybody that's really in an underrepresented position and not just visibly underrepresented, but I think if we take into consideration the gender spectrum, the sexual orientation spectrum, all of these areas that have an opportunity to isolate us as individuals really gives us a moment to say, I wish that I had somebody that I could talk to about this, or somebody that has gone through a similar experience that I have. I was very blessed, as I mentioned. My parents were highly educated. They were able to give me a lot of support along the way and remind me that it was going to be difficult for me as a Black woman the further I succeeded in my professional career. So thankfully, I had an opportunity early to address some of my concerns or grievances with them, and also, members outside of my professional field, but friends and, individuals that did look like me, but they did not speak my same professional language. So I think for a lot of individuals, once 2020 hit, and yes, we walked into a pandemic, but yes, we also walked into a much more difficult socio-political minefield. It was one of those moments for me that I never really isolated myself in respect to viewing myself. I'm a Black woman in a majority white profession. It was more of, this is just a normal piece of being a professional as we're aging and we're advancing. But I think 2020 was a moment where it was even more poignant that I knew the struggles that I went through and the support that I had from family and friends, and also achieving my promotion, my rank promotion to associate professor. I recognized that if there was anything that I can do to help colleagues, students that were either entering our field and had a tumultuous path ahead of them, I wanted to ensure that we could make that way just a little bit easier. I was very, very blessed. I reached out to a few advisors at the time. That at the time, Sean Boynes was the executive director of AAA, so the American Association for Anatomy. And I just asked if there was a space for something similar to this, that would be separate from that organization, but allowed a space for networking and for an opportunity to just have safe conversations that may not always be understood in a larger group of individuals. So that's partly where, the movement of Black Lives Matter came about. The incident when it came down to, I don't know if you're familiar with the Black birders situation, it was just one thing after another, and making sure that as a whole global movement, Black professionals in a variety of different fields started mobilizing and organizing so that we can demonstrate that even though we might be small in number, we are represented in so many professions. So with the okay that Black in Anatomy was not going to potentially cause any friction with some of the other long-standing institutions that we've had for such a long time, I put a call out on a social media platform, and I have benefited personally so much from just the network that has been developing and is still growing in that process. And so it would be remiss of me not to identify Dr. Allison Nesbitt and Dr. Sean McWatt as my current colleagues and board members that help move a lot of the behind the scenes process with Black in Anatomy forward. They were at that first meeting. Now, 3 years later, we're still working tirelessly. And then we've also had a lot of support along the way, specifically Naomi Robeson, who has come in and created our creative image and our logo. And so we've had a lot of help, people that helped us with developing our newsletter, supported us in respect to understanding how to even file for our 501c3, which we were granted in 2021. So it's been a blessing to see a small idea that came out of place of such frustration and a place of hurt for so many people now is developing into something that is a safe space for many.
Yeah. Wow. Well, anybody who dials up your website and starts to poke around, first of all, it's a beautiful website, very well laid out and just easily digested in terms of your values and your ideals and what you're trying to accomplish. They'll
And I
recognize
cannot
that
take
you
credit for any.
okay. Yeah.
That
It's
is
a beautiful,
definitely from our creative director.
yeah, it's beautiful. So just to clarify, are you an independent organization or are you connected to AAA?
We have benefited from a lot of support from AAA, but we are an independent, our own nonprofit organization. And so one of the things that is really helpful is for me as an individual within the anatomical sphere, I reached out again to mentorship to identify if this was a space that was needed within our field. And so what I can say is, given that a lot of the members have cross membership, if you will, in not only now Black in Anatomy as an independent organization, but also in AAA, and I would be remiss to say that I'm also a board member of AAA.
Yeah.
And so in that whole process, we are separate, but we have also had a lot of support, not only from AAA, but now we're also receiving additional support from not only organizations, but businesses out in the field that are seeing our mission and are really supporting us in the ways that we need. We're a very small grassroots organization, and so there's only certain things that we can do. So without that support, we would not have been able to progress as much, I feel, as we have.
Yeah. Very good. So could you talk a little bit about, so from initial inception and starting to network and pull people together,
Yeah.
you must have had some interesting conversations about, okay, now we've got a group, now we have a team, now we're all in this together. What can we accomplish and where should we put our energies? And it does occur to me, one of the things that just seems obvious is how anatomy instruction materials are presented across the board, down into even, junior high, high school, and right on through. Just what does our world look like, and how does
Yeah.
it, have we accepted one way of looking at the human body?
Yeah. So there's a lot in that question. And I think the first thing that I would want to address is just the networking and the desire of what we want to see as some end products from our organization. I think if I'm completely transparent, I had no idea what sending out a little bat signal was going to return. And even just, I would say last week, I said to some of, well, the two board members with me that they have probably been the best thing that has come out of a national pandemic when it came down to a place of, for me to know that they understand my frustrations when it comes down to from certain things that, with work that I don't have to explain. And also they understand what it's like to be in a position of being visibly a minority in some frustrating situations. Now, that's not to say that behind the scenes, all we do is just yell and, gripe or this, that, and the third, but it's when we recognize, man, it would be great to see what historically we've seen with Black contributions from Black scientists towards anthropology or anatomy or anything that's moved our field forward. I think one of the moments for me was walking through the 125th anniversary celebration for AAA and not seeing a Black face at all on any of the celebrated scientists. Now, mind you, there has been, and I've benefited now from sitting on a task force that looked into, well, why wasn't that the case? There are publications that have now come out of identifying that we need to explore where we have Black scientists that contributed to advancing the field. And we need an opportunity to erect those individuals that have been erased, in my opinion, from some of this history. Those are some of the conversations that we've had within our small grassroots organization, not just about scientific advancements within anatomical sciences, but then also unnerving and unfortunate exploitation of the Black body that we happen to know, that we understand from our own personal digging into the literature and into some of the historical records, but it's not as commonplace as some of the other atrocities that might be out there. And I think in understanding that place of frustration and in recognizing even personal incidences where myself, I had a very common dermatological non-contagious rash. But because it was never seen on my complexion, I ended up having to go to 3 physicians to finally figure out what it was and had to get a biopsy. But if you read the description of what that rash was, I fit the description to the T. It's just the fact that they could not see it on my skin tone. Those are the frustrations that when you get individuals of different hues of color and get to talk about some of these things, they're not isolated incidents. They are situations that unfortunately we have to deal with over and over again. And so in recognizing those congregation or aggregate response of why are these things still happening? And we are supposed to be in the 21st century. We are supposed to be a more educated society. What are we doing as educators within the anatomical sciences to help advocate for patients that are going to walk in and have our students as their healthcare providers? And we might not be doing that due diligence that we can at this junction to at least open eyes to either implicit biases or opportunities for advocation, not again just for racial inequities, but also those hidden areas where people might feel isolated. So I think in totality, that's a lot of where some of the end goals and some of the projects that we've done so far have been to share the resources, share the things that we already know with a larger community, give free resources for individuals at least to have those starter conversations, and then also to provide free webinars or panel discussions or opportunities to make those conversations that might originally feel uncomfortable more comfortable, because it's provided in not just a safe space, but a brave space to be comfortable being potentially wrong, but having a community that you can learn from in the process. So I think that's answering your question.
Yeah, yeah. Well, your situation, your diagnosis, the struggle to get an accurate diagnosis, just that moment in time sort of manifests history and
Yes.
institutional approach. You must think about all the instruction of the various physicians and others out there who are trying to diagnose something or
Oh,
maybe doing their
absolutely.
best, but that's informed by, unfortunately, just history, a
Yes,
default mentality. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So take us to the upcoming Black in Anatomy Week, which I
Yeah,
believe is your third.
it is.
Um, and how can, well, what is going to be offered, and
Mhm.
what is the reason for organizing a week to kind of rally attention to this issue?
Yeah. So we were very intentional, and also recognizing that we were quite small. We didn't want to grow too quickly and lose sight of what the intention of an organization such as this could do. So in the first 2 years, we didn't take any members. We really worked hard as in the members of Inception, if you will, tried to identify and verbalize clearly what's the vision for this organization. Now that we identify a vision, where can we see the end product of working towards that vision? So this year was our first year of officially opening for membership. So we were really excited about that. And in the process of Black in Anatomy Week, historically, our first day within our Black in Anatomy Week was really an opportunity to connect to Black individuals that do anything within the anatomical sciences. So not just classically trained anatomists, medical illustrators, opportunity for physicians, anybody within the rehab sciences, anybody who uses anatomy in their everyday career, massage therapists, for example, a variety of individuals that recognized or wanted to align with not only our mission, but now our published vision. Doing that and connecting individuals at least on a social media scale, so electronically, was really to have that opportunity to say, as an individual, you're not alone. You can see here is your network if you need us. This year, it just so happens that our first day is also going to be our 3-year anniversary. So we're really excited about that. And now, of course, in the wake of the SCOTUS decision, in respect to fair admissions, there is a lot also to consider. That progress that has been made has an opportunity to be halted, and there are much more barriers than to seeing a more representative classroom. And eventually, what that means is we might have challenges in seeing a more representative faculty. So we wanted to take some time for a structured or processed opportunity for reflection. So we're going to build that into our week as well. We're really excited. I mentioned earlier that Sean Boynes was a mentor for me to reach out to see if this was a space that we can explore. And he has so gracefully agreed to come back and give a webinar on leadership, and management, given all of his experience. So that's going to be on Wednesday, the 18th. And then on Thursday, we're going to open it up for a community social so that all of these networks that you have seen, all of the members that have now been accepted as Black in Anatomy members for the 23-24 year, have a space to just come on and see each other, talk, communicate, see if there is networking and collaboration that can be developed. On Friday, we're really excited that Dr. Madeline Crowell will be talking about weight bias and weight stigma, specifically what has happened historically to the Black body. And then on Saturday, we have been so blessed. Nika Ford, a certified medical illustrator, has worked with us since our first Black in Anatomy Week to offer these virtual paint and sip opportunities. So this year we have a new painting. She has graciously again agreed to come back. It's normally a really nice opportunity to have some downtime, some creative space, listen to some music, see some creative expression that comes out. And so that's a snapshot of what we're going to be offering this year. Part of the reason why we do that, again, is just to give opportunities for the safe space for communication, some shared references and dialogue, and also an opportunity to show what we have been working on behind the scenes, in addition to our quarterly newsletter, an opportunity to make sure that we're doing what we've said that we wanted to do, which is to amplify and to highlight Black contributions within our field.
Fantastic. So do you have to be a member to engage in the webinars and sign up for those, or are these more public?
These are all free and open to the public.
Okay.
We also provide, we have a couple of surprises that we traditionally do each year. And so we're working also with a company to provide additional coloring pages this year. And I just won't share as of right now, but these will be resources that are always made available. So they're freely made and linked at our website if you want to even see what we've done in the past. But we are finalizing some other free resources that will be available, and also working on making sure that if you're interested in getting merchandise that has Black in Anatomy on it, that those are going to be available as well.
That's great. Could you give us an idea of the kind of numbers or scale of how many folks you've drawn into the organization and the reach as well? I assume it's definitely national at this point, but maybe global?
Yeah, it's international at this point. We have 3 membership tiers. So we recognize part of our opportunity to be a member-driven organization is that we don't want to be exclusive in any form or fashion. And what that means is, and this is one of the reasons why we took so long to open up for membership and be intentional about where the organization was going, that we created 2 membership levels that are specifically for individuals that either identify as Black or having Black heritage. And those are the areas that we're going to see: one that's student and trainee for our membership, and then another that's a professional membership level. We would not, as I mentioned before, made it this far without the support that we're having from the community. And so we wanted to be very mindful for any individual, regardless of how they identify, if they agree with our mission and they can see themselves working towards our vision, we wanted to give them a space as well to join as a member. So we also have created a united membership category for anybody within the community that aligns with our mission and vision. And so we've been very, very blessed to have several members in every single category join with us and move forward. And so we're excited to see that grow, and we're excited to see continued membership opportunities, not just for our student trainee members or our professional members, where we do have some closed meetings just for, again, aligning with our mission and creating that safe space if there needs to be an opportunity for private conversation, but also our open community members and our open community meetings that are open for everybody that aligns with Black in Anatomy as a member, and also these public events that we're providing through our Black in Anatomy weeks.
Yeah.
But yes, we do have members that extend into international. So in yeah, I won't name all the countries.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss one and misrepresent.
Yeah. But you're pleased with the response so far and the
Yes.
energy level. Yeah.
Yes. And every year we just keep connecting and getting new individuals. And part of that is because of the referrals and opportunities like this. So again, thank you for inviting me to share some of what we're doing, because hopefully if somebody is watching this and has an interest, you'll recognize that there's a place for everybody. You don't have to identify as being Black or having Black heritage to be a part of Black in Anatomy. But if you know colleagues, students, mentees, anybody who does identify within those categories, this is definitely a place for them.
That's great. So people should to engage in the Black in Anatomy Week, which is coming up, and or to engage with the organization, is the best place to head to the website?
Yeah, head to the website. We traditionally also release a newsletter, so that will give a nice summary. You can go to our social media. Everything really follows that Black in Anatomy moniker, so you will be able to find us. The registration pages for all of those events that we were mentioning, those are coming out shortly. We have all the links ready. We released our highlight promotional material yesterday, so the links should be probably available by the time that this podcast is running live.
Great. Excellent. Well, it's such a pleasure to meet you and get this rundown. It was on social media that I came across the whole initiative, so it's obviously working. And from our end, we just wish you all sorts of success, continuing to drive the important messages out there and continuing on with the good work you're doing. So thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.